Screw it. Tediore Morty. You all may not know this, but I'm a Morty main, not a Roland main. But I do like Roland quite a bit. I just use him for allegiances in the interest of fairness. But this particular run is not interested in fairness whatsoever, so there's only one rule. Well, two rules. Rule 1. All these gear slots can only have Tediore gear in them at any given time, which is different from Roland where I use the heavy gunner for allegiances. I do that with Roland to have a more neutral experience with every gun. It's kind of the general purpose class mod for Roland. At least it's the general purpose comm you don't have to kill Craw for. But with this run, I'm not beholden to such restrictions in the interest of fairness or comparison. No, I want to fuck up some bandits and barely use ARs or shotguns. Because Morty here may have a good bit of DPS from crit damage and reload speed, especially killer shot, but the boosts to pistol specifically dwarfs the boosts given to other gun types. So, since we don't have sniper rifles, the biggest damage we'll ever be able to do will come from pistols. Luckily, Tediore makes great revolvers. Also, since Morty literally doesn't have a single shield boosting skill, and all of his survivability comes from regen via Ritus Remedy, and to a lesser but still viable extent Out for Blood, Tediore shield regen will be very, very nice. Tediore shotguns are good, so 9 Toes goes down easy. And I slap my first skill point post-action skill acquisition into Deadly for crit damage, which will be useful since I don't know if BL1 will be kind and give me lots of lovely pistols to use. Pinky and Digit are the real boss fight here, so you'll be happy to know that I didn't die to them. This time. I may be playing the glass cannon right now, but I haven't unlocked the cannon part yet, so I did the Baja side missions to bulk up before Bonehead, which is very normal. Glass cannon. That reminds me of rule 2. No lethal strike, because lethal strike is freaking busted and can completely bypass any challenge you'd want to do, and I'll prove it eventually by beating this whole game with melee. Someday. Anyway, I got to level 10, but since Morty is still glass and not very canon at this point, I did die a little bit. But only a little bit though. Round 2 went much better for me and I was able to acquire the Bone Shredder, a great early game weapon that happens to be Tediore. It did shine much brighter on Roland later on, but early into the game it was basically the same. Either way, farm XP time, to at least 15, but maybe more because this cave is lucrative for XP. And with shotguns and the Bone Shredder, it wasn't super annoying to farm the worms. Of course, I also grabbed guns in the Claptrap while I was here. Made my way up to level 17 before leaving the cave, with 2 points in Gun Crazy, which works out excellently with this masher I found in a locker of all places. Now, I'm not sure if you need to know this, I have no idea what general information on BL1 is like, but when Gun Crazy here says 2 shots, it means 2 shots. Like, 7 projectile pistol is actually a 14 projectile pistol. When Gun Crazy procs, that is. So yeah, needless to say, Morty's damage output is not evenly spread across all the gun types, which is why I use Roland, who more or less is even. But also, Gun Crazy's interaction with multi-projectile pistols like mashers is one of the reasons why Morty's damage is actually good early game, and why I like him so much. This is a blessed run. In order to illustrate what I mean, Sledge here, a fight that, when playing as Roland, takes me a couple minutes and maybe a few deaths, is over in less than 30 seconds on the first attempt. And as you can clearly see, this wasn't a clean fight. I miss a lot of my shots and go down and stuff. But I can still play the fight in its entirety without it being painfully long to watch in a video, I hope. Which isn't true of my playthrough 1 Sledge fights as Roland. And kills on Skagzilla are so much faster compared to Roland that I can get away with farming to a slightly higher level if I wanted. I only went up to level 23, but I feel like I could have gone to 24 if I tried hard enough. I used a car from Mad Mel, so who cares, and I farmed guns at Tanis for a while before moving on to Crom. You might notice me skipping a lot of stuff, and that's because you don't need to see me one-shotting 50 guys with a masher. I feel like showing its damage on the Roid Rage Psycho made that point. So I'm skipping to the Taylor Cobb fight, which is the hardest in playthrough 1 given my route. Even so, my damage wasn't a big issue. I even had Riotous Remedy at this point, which is a great yet inconsistent healing skill, but it wasn't enough to offset my fuck it playstyle. So this encounter was still a bit of a challenge. However, I didn't die at all, because the damage was still good. That was the same masher I found back at the Roid Rage Psycho, by the way. And if that wasn't bad enough, I also found this Double Anarchy, which is on a similar level of broken, albeit with more compelling competition. Also, Double Anarchies don't shine quite as well on Morty this early into the game. Regardless, they're quite good. And of course, that level up bonus makes Taylor Cobb less threatening than a normal bruiser. I don't know if you noticed from me mentioning it multiple times, but Roland doesn't exactly have a lot of damage. He only has 5 skills that increase DPS at all. 3 of them are from mag size or fire rate, 2 are for specific weapons, and only 1 is an increase in damage for all weapon types. Compared to Morty, who has 10 DPS skills, 4 of them being very significant damage increases to all weapon types, and 2 others being significant reload speed increases to all weapon types. Not to mention the fact that 2 of the pistol-specific DPS skills are very, very good on top of all that. Once you start taking into consideration class mods, things get even worse. But that's the price Roland pays for being a generalist. Jack of all trades, master of none. Morty is the fucking master of shooting people, but really hard. This is still the masher I got from Roid Rage Psycho, which is just another reason why I'm skipping so much stuff. It's all the same shit. No new guns, no real challenge, I'm just shredding everything with the same pistol you saw me pick up some minutes ago. It took until Crimson Fastness to find something interesting, this Protector, which was very, very good. And it didn't even replace the masher, it was just something cute to accompany it. I really breezed through this entire game, but I'm not done yet. The Destroyer took 58 seconds to kill. Normally I wait until I'm max level, then go back to playthrough 1 for DLC skill points, but not this time. This time I decided to do it before going on to playthrough 2, which was a great idea that didn't really make much of a difference since Morty does so much damage anyway. This is a new masher, by the way. I forgot when I got it, but it must have been a while ago because it's falling off in damage a little. Just a little. I was still able to bully Knockstrap in just 80-ish seconds. Fun fact, I mentioned the time to kill on bosses so I can reference back and compare to other manufacturers in later runs, but I've been too lazy to do that each and every run. Now, I don't want you to think I've been neglecting other weapon types. Well, I have been, but I've also used them a little bit. They're still good. Just not as good. They're certainly doing damage, but with how quickly I empty the mag, I'm spending a lot of time reloading even with my boosts to reload speed. So ARs generally are less satisfying to use, unfortunately. Not bad at all, but situationally worse than this green masher I must have found 10 levels ago. And this double anarchy can pick up slack wherever the masher falls short, which leaves both shotguns and ARs in a weird middle ground. If I need large single-shot damage, I have a masher, not a shotgun. If I need lower damage sustained over a longer period, I have SMGs, not ARs. Not that shotguns, non-masher revolvers, and ARs went completely unused, they just fall to the wayside rather than taking center stage like SMGs and mashers do for Morty. All of what I'm saying is in relation to this specific allegiance and is my own opinion, by the way. These were just my personal experiences in this run. Minac took 16 minutes 40 seconds, by the way. Kind of bad, honestly, but I didn't have any dots, so what can you do? I even did Underdome here because I didn't want to do it back-to-back with the skill points. And I have a question. Is it normal to just be stuck up here when you die? Does my cutscene skip mod mess something up? This doesn't feel right. I had to use noclip to get out after this round was over. Gosh, this music sucks. But anyway, yeah, I did Underdome. Yippee. Nothing interesting happened besides getting modifiers that increased enemy damage reduction a lot while the worst bosses ever spawned. The Destroyer round 2 took like 9 minutes thanks to this equalizer I got, but who fucking cares? Look at this equalizer I got. Zooey mama. This thing dropped from a Guardian thanks to the most beautiful and slept-on skill ever, Ransack. By the way, thanks to Trespass, I farmed Guardians in the Promontory not only till level 69, but I also ground up all my proficiencies. And it took like 2 hours. The whole farm. Then I used this equalizer to completely embarrass the rest of the content in playthrough 2. I will never find an equalizer better than this, and I will be savoring every shot I take with it for the rest of the run. This entire fight was 40 seconds. The only thing that made Ned Trap hard was how bad I am at aiming. Steel Trap was actually a pain in the ass though, because she rolls around more than Dark Souls 3 enemy NPCs. Damage wasn't an issue. Dealing the damage was an issue. Sure, that makes sense. Zombie Ned Trap was straight up barely worth mentioning, but this damage was really funny, so here you go, I guess. Minac was 5 minutes. I expected better, but you gotta be more careful as Morty since you don't have a whole heck of a lot of good healing. But it was barely an issue. Neither was any of Nox DLC, but that's normal since it doesn't scale up until after you beat it. Honestly, even after it scaled up, this fight was basically the exact same, but twice as long, so who cares? We're on to the real fights now, with actually difficult enemies. And it doesn't matter. This equalizer still shoots really hard. It doesn't stop me from playing like an idiot, but it does let me get away with it more often than not. This is still pretty easy, but by no means is it a completely brainless activity like Claptrap DLC was. If I use something other than the equalizer, this is still perfectly fine by the way, but a significant downgrade. Keep in mind that equalizer is like perfect, very nearly a god roll, unlike the Savior that's pretty good, but nothing to freak out about. The last thing I want to mention is class mods, just briefly. Tediore makes 2 class mods for Morty, the Ranger, which I used for basically all of my run, and the Scavenger. Both of them are alright, I guess. They don't boost many skills I care about personally, but they do boost good skills, and the Ranger has very nice stat boosts. The Scavenger doesn't as much though. I have a lot more footage, but honestly I don't have much else to say. Mordicai is amazing and Tediore is great. Like I said earlier, max level Nox was basically the same fight as before. I found a pearl while farming the armory, that was exciting. You know what, I made a vow to never fight Graw again, but with the equalizer on this character, I think I'll finally give him another shot. Fuck that.